What if you woke up to find this on your security camera? The electronic eyes you install for peace of mind, suddenly becoming portals to your worst fears. What happens when the sanctity of your home, that one place on earth you're supposed to feel completely safe, is shattered in the dead of night by those who wish you harm tonight? We're looking at 4 true late-night horror stories that will leave you questioning just how secure you really are. These aren't campfire tales or urban legends. These are real events, captured on the very cameras meant to protect the victims. The footage is raw, it is terrifying, and it reveals a horrifying reality you can't afford to ignore. As we go through these accounts, remember that the people in these stories are real. They endured moments of sheer terror that no one should ever have to experience. If you find value in understanding these dangers and appreciate the awareness these stories bring, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us continue to shed light on these important and often terrifying realities. Now, turn down the lights and make sure your doors are locked. Let's begin. Section 1, the Union City Ambush. Our first story takes us to a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind of place where the biggest disturbance is usually the garbage truck. This is Union City, California, a place of manicured lawns and family homes. For one family, on Tidewater Drive, the morning of Friday, October 24th, 2014, was supposed to begin like any other. The sun was coming up, and inside the home, a young girl was getting ready for her day, completely unaware that outside, a nightmare was silently approaching. It was around 7:45 a.m., an hour when the world is waking up and heading to work or school, when the home's security camera began recording a scene that would send a shockwave through the community. The footage, later pored over by detectives and horrified news viewers, shows the front of the house in the peaceful morning light. Then, the front door opens, and the young girl, whose identity has been protected, steps outside. She takes only a few steps, maybe heading to a parent's car. In that brief moment, everything changes. Across the street, a white Ford Taurus, which had been lurking almost unnoticed, screeches to life. The car doors fly open, and 4 figures spill out. They're dressed in dark, hooded sweatshirts, their faces hidden by masks, their movements sharp and predatory. They move with a chilling purpose, not like random vandals, but like a coordinated team. At least 2 of them are visibly armed with handguns, the metal glinting in the morning light. The girl sees them. In that split second, her world shrinks. There's no time to think, only to react. Her youthful innocence is violently stripped away, replaced by a primal instinct for survival. The camera captures her immediate, life-saving decision. She turns and sprints back toward the safety of her front door. It's harrowing to watch. The men, seeing their target retreat, break into a full run, chasing her across her own front lawn. It's a scene from a horror film, not a quiet residential street. They are just feet behind her as she slams the door shut, the lock clicking into place moments before they would have been upon her. Inside, the girl screams to her family, telling her mother to call 911. The sanctity of their home was breached, not by force, but by the sheer terror of what was about to happen. From the safety of their locked home, the family confronted the men. Their plan for what police would later describe as a home invasion robbery was thwarted. Faced with resistance and knowing the police were on their way, the 4 men scrambled back to their white Ford Taurus and fled. When Union City police arrived, they found the girl safe and pieced together the events. Sergeant Brandon Hayward of the Union City Police Department explained that these criminal crews often patrol neighborhoods in the morning, waiting for people leaving for work. They strike, forcing people back into their homes to rob them. Sergeant Hayward noted it was concerning that the target was a child, but police didn't believe she was the specific motivation. She was simply a target of opportunity. This fact is, in some ways, even more terrifying. It wasn't personal. It was random, brutal chance. The investigation became a top priority. The video served as a stark reminder that these violent invasions can happen anywhere, at any time. But the real takeaway isn't just the crime. It's the bravery of that young girl. Police credited her alertness and quick thinking for preventing a potentially tragic event. In a moment of pure fear, when most people would freeze, she acted. She ran. She screamed. She alerted her family, and she saved herself. The security camera didn't physically stop the men, but it bore witness. It forces us to ask ourselves if faced with the same sudden, violent threat, would we have the presence of mind to do the same? Section 2. The Nightmare in the Hallway. For our second story, we travel across the globe to Russell Island, a tranquil community in Queensland, Australia. It's a place where residents expect a certain level of peace. For homeowners, Steve and Jane, their house was their sanctuary. But in November of 2023, that sanctuary was violated in one of the most bizarre and terrifying ways imaginable, all captured on their home CCTV system. The story, pieced together from the footage and the couple's harrowing account, feels like something torn from a horror movie. It began in the vulnerable early morning hours, just after 7:00 a.m. Outside their home, security cameras picked up the first sign of trouble. A 40-year-old woman, barefoot and out of breath, is seen trespassing onto their property. Her movements are erratic. In her hand, she clutches a pair of scissors, not like a tool, but like a weapon. She doesn't try to force a window or pick a lock. Instead, she finds the back door, which had been accidentally left unlocked. With terrifying ease, she slips inside. Now, the internal cameras begin to document the horror. In their bedroom, Steve and Jane are just waking up. Jane is the first to get out of bed. As she walks into the hallway, she is confronted with a scene of pure disbelief. A stranger is standing in her home. Jane would later recall the shock of seeing the woman holding the scissors. The self-preservation instinct took over immediately. Jane slams the bedroom door shut, creating a fragile barrier between them and the armed intruder. But the woman is relentless. The footage captures her launching a frenzied attack on the bedroom door, stabbing and slashing at the wood. Behind that door, a desperate struggle for survival is underway. Woken by the commotion, Steve leaps into action, wearing nothing but his underwear. He throws his weight against the door, holding it firm against the intruder's assault, while Jane frantically calls for help. The sounds from the other side are terrifying. The woman can be heard kicking chairs, her rage palpable. Steve would later describe her as having an almost unnatural strength. It was exhausting. It's like she had superpowers because she was very strong, he said, trapped in their own bedroom, every second stretched into an eternity. Jane, on the phone with the police dispatcher, begged them to hurry. I keep saying, hurry up, please. We need police. And the lady said, they're coming, she recalled. At some point, the intruder moves away from the door. Seeing a window of opportunity, Steve makes an incredibly brave decision. He has to protect his family. He opened the door and confronted the woman. The internal camera shows the terrifying confrontation. The moment the woman spots Steve, she raises the scissors. Despite being unarmed and exposed, Steve doesn't back down. A physical struggle ensues, with the two wrestling on the floor. Finally, Steve manages to subdue her, but the ordeal was far from over. For a torturous 25 minutes, Steve, still in his underwear, had to physically hold the struggling woman on the floor of his own home, waiting for the police to arrive. He joked later about the moment the officers finally came through the door, with his and the intruder's hands clasped together. "Our hands are together, and I said, make sure you cuff the right one." Police arrested the 40-year-old intruder. It was later alleged she was found with a small quantity of methamphetamine, which might explain her violent behavior. For Steve and Jane, the aftermath was a mixture of relief and shock. The security cameras they had installed only a month prior had not only provided a chilling record of the event, but also gave police all the evidence they needed. It showcases the incredible courage of two ordinary people who, when faced with an intruder in their hallway, fought back with everything they had. Section 3, The Digital Ghost in the Nursery. The first two stories were terrifying examples of physical invasions, but our third story delves into a uniquely modern form of terror where the violation begins not with a broken window, but with a silent, invisible intrusion. This is a cautionary tale about the dark side of our hyper-connected lives. There are numerous, well-documented cases of Ring and other IP camera hacks that are deeply terrifying. One of the most infamous clusters of these events happened around December 2019, with two particularly chilling cases that highlight this digital horror. First, let's go to DeKalb County, Georgia. Like many pet owners, a couple there bought a Ring camera to check in on their dog, Bo, while they were at work. The camera was placed in their bedroom, a private space, but one Monday evening, that comfort was shattered. The woman was lying in bed when she heard a man's cough come from the camera's speaker. She saw the camera's blue light was on, signifying someone was watching. Thinking it was her boyfriend, she texted him. "Why are you watching?" His reply sent a chill down her spine. "What are you talking about?" It wasn't him. Seconds later, the disembodied voice spoke, its words turning their private sanctuary into a stage for a twisted performance. The voice boomed through the small speaker. "I can see you in the bed. Come on, wake the expletive up." The woman was paralyzed by fear. I was terrified. I literally could not move my body. She later told reporters, a stranger had bypassed their digital defenses and was now a presence in the most intimate space of their home, watching and taunting them. Around the same time, a Mississippi family experienced a similar and arguably more sinister violation. A hacker gained access to a Ring camera in their 3 daughters' bedroom. The footage is profoundly disturbing. The hacker begins speaking to one of the 8-year-old girls, Alyssa. At first, he tries to deceive her, claiming, "I'm your best friend. I'm Santa Claus." The young girl, confused and scared, asks, "Who is that?" The voice then becomes more malevolent, encouraging her to wreak havoc. "You can mess up your room. You can break your TV," the hacker taunts. Alyssa, realizing something is terribly wrong, cries out for her mother. For these families, the psychological trauma was immense. Ring's investigation concluded that these were not the result of a large-scale breach of their systems. Instead, the hackers were likely using credential stuffing. This is where hackers take usernames and passwords stolen from other websites and use software to try them on high-value targets, like Ring accounts. Because so many people reuse passwords, a single breach can give criminals the keys to various parts of a person's digital life. The hackers in the Georgia case had apparently accessed the couple's account on 4 separate occasions before the couple even realized it. The taunting is terrifying, but the silent observation is arguably more dangerous. It's the perfect tool for a burglar or stalker, turning a security device into a reconnaissance tool for the very people it's meant to protect against. The company urged users to adopt stronger, unique passwords and enable two-factor authentication. But these incidents are a bone-chilling reminder that the most terrifying intruders might not even have to set foot on your property. Section 4. The Panopticon of a Million Eyes. Our final story expands from a single home to a terrifying, large-scale operation that affected thousands. It takes us to South Korea in late 2025, where authorities uncovered a criminal enterprise that turned an estimated 120,000 security cameras into a sprawling, illegal surveillance network. This wasn't one hacker targeting one family. It was about a handful of individuals systematically compromising the privacy of an entire nation. IP cameras, or home cams, are everywhere. They're cheap, easy to install, and connect to the internet, letting owners view the feed from anywhere. But this connectivity is a double-edged sword. In November 2025, the National Police Agency in South Korea announced the arrests of 4 individuals. These men weren't a single syndicate. They were operating independently, each exploiting the same fundamental weakness in thousands of IP cameras' user negligence. The hackers weren't using sophisticated techniques. They were simply targeting devices that still had their default factory passwords or were protected by incredibly simple ones like admin or 12345. The scale of the breach was staggering. One suspect was accused of hacking approximately 60,000 cameras, while another compromised around 70,000. The motive was sickeningly clear: producing and selling sexually exploitative materials. They sifted through tens of thousands of live feeds, cherry-picking moments of private intimacy and packaging them for sale on overseas websites, earning tens of thousands of dollars. Police stated these 2 individuals were responsible for about 62% of all videos posted on one specific illegal distribution site over the past year. The locations of the hacked cameras revealed the horrifying breadth of their reach. They included private homes with cameras pointed at bedrooms and living rooms, but they also included places that should be bastions of privacy: Pilates studios, clothing store, changing rooms, and even obstetrics and gynecology clinics. The hackers had created a digital panopticon, a system where thousands of people were being watched without their knowledge. Police began the grim task of notifying victims, visiting 58 locations in person or calling to deliver the devastating news. While the primary crime was the production of illegal material, this kind of mass surveillance has an even more sinister application: planning physical home invasions. With access to live footage, criminals can monitor a resident's routines when they're away, when they're asleep, and the layout of their home. Armed with this perfect intelligence, intruders can then break in, moving with confidence while the residents sleep, completely oblivious. The footage intended for security becomes the ultimate tool for invasion. Park Woo-hyun, a cyber investigation review officer, stated unequivocally, crimes related to IP camera hacking are serious offenses that cause immense suffering to victims. We will actively investigate to eradicate these crimes. The South Korean government launched a nationwide campaign urging the public to change default passwords and use available security features. This story proves that the scariest threats are often the ones we willingly invite into our homes, believing they are there to protect us, only to find they have become the windows through which the darkness peers in. The 4 stories you've just heard are more than just frightening tales. They are stark, brutal lessons about the nature of safety in our world, from a young girl's courageous sprint in Union City to a husband's desperate struggle in his Australian home, from the invisible violation of a hacked camera in Georgia to the massive surveillance web spun in South Korea. Each story highlights a unique facet of our vulnerability. These events show that threats can come at any time, in any place. They can be brazen and violent on your own front lawn, quiet and insidious through an unlocked door, or digital and faceless, bypassing your locks entirely. The common thread is the violation of home, the one place we are all supposed to feel unconditionally safe. The footage from these cameras is difficult to watch, but it serves a vital purpose. It removes all doubt and forces us to confront the reality that these things happen. We often think of home security as just strong locks or an alarm, but these stories teach us that security is a layered and constant practice. It's being aware of your surroundings. It's locking the back door. It's using strong, unique passwords and two-factor authentication for every online account, especially those connected to your home. Vigilance is our strongest defense. We want to hear from you. Which of these 4 stories did you find the most unsettling? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've ever had a creepy experience with a security camera or a close call of your own, please consider sharing it. Your story could help someone else become more aware and better prepared. The world can be a frightening place, and the sanctity of home is worth protecting. These cameras captured the horror, but it was the quick thinking of a young girl, the fierce protection of a husband, and the diligence of law enforcement that brought these nightmares to an end. Remember their stories, learn from them, and above all, stay safe.